Thank you very much, Aro Prabhu. Wonderful kirtan. Thank you. Yes, somebody can do Nrsimharati, and then we'll start the class. Oh. Aro Prabhu, you can sing Nrsimharati and then we'll start the class.
Sure, Prabhu.
you very much. Again. Very good. We're very fortunate to have His Holiness Jayaadvita Maharaj amidst us today. He'll be giving the class today, Sunday Feast class. Guru Maharaj. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Can you begin?
Hare Krishna, Varupati. Thank you very much. Nice to be with you today. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadhati Shapadantika Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Jatapata Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitamshta He Krishna Kuruna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Prishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vansha Kolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Well, because we've just entered the Purushottam month I thought that I would speak from the Purushottam Yoga chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The Purushottam Yoga chapter is chapter 15, and we can briefly summarize and then focus toward the end of the chapter. In the beginning, Krishna gives the analogy, Urdvamulam adhashakam, ashvatam prahuraviyam, chandhamsi yasya parnani yastam veda savedave. There's an upside down tree, and that's upside down ashwata tree. The branches up, the leaves down, and one who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedic hymns. The knower of the Vedas, yes, the knower of the Vedas. The branches are going this way and that way, and the idea is that this tree is the tree of the material world, a perverted reflection of reality, upside down, therefore. And one has to cut oneself off from this tree, asanga shastrena dritena chitva, with the weapon of detachment, dritena, with determination. One has to cut oneself away from this suviruddha mulam, deeply rooted tree of material existence. And tatapadam tat parimargatavyam yasmin gata na nivartanti puya tameva chadyam purusham prapadye yata pravritti prasuta purani. One has to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, purusham prapadye, and from whom everything has come since time immemorial. And one has to reach that abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Om Tad Vishnu Panamam Padam. And how to do that? Nirmana moha jata sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama dvandvaya vimukta sukha dukkha sangar gachantya mudha padamavyayam tat. One should be free from false prestige and illusion and the false association of this material body and material world. And one should understand the eternal reality, adhyatma nitya. And vinivritta kama, one should be free from material desires. Dvandvaya vimukta sukha dukkha sangar, free from dualities like happiness and distress. And in this way, one should know how to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead to attain that eternal abode. Na tad pasyate suryo na shashanko na pavaka. Yad gatva nanivartante tad tama panamamama. The Lord gives just a small hint in the Bhagavad Gita about his eternal abode. In Srimad Bhagavatam, we get so much more information. But from the Bhagavad Gita, it's that place which is where there's no need of sun or moon or fire. And one who goes there never has to come back to this material world. Sadhama Padamamama, that's the supreme abode of Krishna. Then, Mama Avamso Jiva Loke Jiva Puta Sanatana. Manashastan Indriyani Prakriti Stani Karshati. Any of these verses could be a topic of discussion for many, many days. This verse is especially important. Prabhupada quotes it often. Mami Vamsa Jiva Bhuta, Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. The living entities are all eternal, and they're all Angsha of Krishna, part of Krishna. Not that they're Krishna. They're Krishna because the part is also identified with the whole. And at the same time, the part is not the whole. So Angsha, we're tiny parts of Krishna. And therefore, we're struggling with the mind and the senses, manashastan indriyani, prakriti stani karshati, because we're stuck in this material existence. Then there's, in the next verses, there's a very cogent description of how the living entity moves from one body to another. Shariram yadavapnoti yachachut kramati shagaha grihit vaitani samyati vairgantam ivashayat. As the air carries different aromas from one body to the next, the mind of the living entity, the subtle body of the living entity, carries him from one body to the next, to the next, to the next. Shrocham chakshu sparshanam cha rasanam kranam evacha adhishtaya manaschayam vishayan upasevate. According to the mind one has acquired, or the not acquired, but yes, the mind and the shape it's acquired, the content, one gets a particular set of senses, a certain kind of ear, a certain kind of eye, a certain kind of tongue. For every kind of sense gratification we desire, there's a particular sense. If you want to see a long distance, you can have the eye of an eagle. If you want to eat anything and everything, you can have the body of a pig. There's so many different senses, and therefore so many different forms of life. So one can go to any of them, and it's the mind. The mind forms the picture of what kind of enjoyment we want, and then we get the particular set of senses accordingly. This is all a subtle process. The mind is subtle, but we learn about it from the Bhagavad Gita. Utkramantam stitam vapi punjanam va gunanditam vimudha na anupashanti pashanti gyanachakshusha. The fools can't see how the living entity is moving from one body to the next. But those who have eyes of knowledge, gyanachakshusha, can see. It's not available just to ordinary vision or technological research. But when one has enlightenment from the spiritual master, enlightenment means he's instructed. He's given knowledge from Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, how things are going on. And then he can see. Yatanto yoginas chainam pashantyatma pashantyatman yavastitam. Yatanto pyakritatmano nainam pashantya cetasa. Yatanta, those who are trying to make advancements in spiritual progress, can see everything nicely, but those who are foolish, acetasa, will not see. Nainam pashantya cetasa. Then after describing these topics, the Lord switches a little bit, and he describes how he's present everywhere, how everything is resting on him and coming from him. Yadaditya gatam tejo jagat pasyate kilam yach chandramasi yach chagno tad tejo vidimamakam. The power of the sun, which lights up the whole world, and the light of the moon, they're all coming from me. Gama Vishachabhutani Dharyam Yam Ojasa Pushnami Choshati Sarva Somo Bhutva Vistatmaka. I enter into the planets, and by my energy they stay in their orbits. And Somo Bhutva, I become the moon, and I make the vegetables juicy. Vegetables have taste because of the influence of the moon. This we learn from Vedic knowledge. I think even the farmers are supposed to know these things. Therefore, they plant at the appropriate time. Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashrita Pranapana Samayukta Pachamyanyam Chaturvidham. And I'm the Vaishvanara. Vaishvanara means the digestive fire. The digestive fire, Agni, is also called Vaishvanara. And for the fire to work, you need air. Those who have like a wood stove or a coal stove, you know that you have to have sufficient ventilation. Then your fire can burn nicely. So the fire also, the fire of digestion within all living entities needs air. So the Lord as Vaishvanara merges or combines with the air and Pachamyanyam. And he's the one who digests. We think we're independent. Without digestion, where are you? Imagine if we said that now, from tomorrow, no more digestion. Sometimes that happens. We get indigestion, we can't eat we have to skip a meal or 2 meals or 4 meals because the fire gets overloaded. So that fire is Krishna, and he joins with the prana, apana, the different airs. So for eating also, and chaturvidam, for the 4 kinds of food. So for that also we have to depend on Krishna. Sarvasya chaham priti sannavishto matasmitir gyanam apohanam cha. Vedaischa sarvairaham eva vedya. Vedantakrit veda vedeva chaham. Another very important verse in Bhagavad Gita that Srila Prabhupada quotes many times, many. And actually, many verses Prabhupada just quotes the whole idea of the verse. Here, each line has a different point. I'm within the heart of all living beings. That's a book in itself. And matasmitir gyanam apohanam cha. From me come knowledge, remembrance, forgetfulness. They all come from Krishna. And Vedaischa sarvairaham eva vedya. The purpose of all the Vedic knowledge is to understand Krishna. That's all of the Vedic wisdom. Vasudeva para Veda. The purpose of all the Vedic knowledge is to understand Krishna. What is that? Bahunam janmanamante gyanavan mam prapadyate. After many births of Vedic study, the intelligent person who's situated in real knowledge, surrenders to Krishna. All the Vedic knowledge is pointing toward Krishna. And Vedanta Krit, Veda Vid, Eva Chaham. I'm the author of the Vedas. Who can say more about the Vedas than Krishna? Veda Vid, he's the knower of the Vedas, he's the author of the Vedas. One time Srila Prabhupada spoke at Temple University in Pennsylvania, and there was one professor who was speaking there, who was good, had a class there, and Vedanta, one Swami, Indian Swami. So one of the students from that class attended Prabhupada's lecture, and he asked some question about Vedanta, and Prabhupada asked him, what is the meaning of Vedanta? And the boy didn't know. The boy didn't know. Later, Prabhupada said, just see, he's studying Vedanta, and he doesn't even know the meaning of the word Vedanta. The Veda means knowledge, and Anta means the last word, the conclusion. What is that conclusion? Vedaischa sarvar aham eva Vedya. I'm the subject matter. I'm the person who has to be understood from the Vedic knowledge. All the Vedas are pointing toward Krishna. Then the Lord takes up another related topic. Dvaimau purushau loke ksharas chakshara evacha. Kshara sarvani bhutani kutas tokshara uchate. The Lord says that there are two kinds of living beings in this world. The fallible and the infallible. When those who are on the platform of Krishna consciousness are infallible, they don't fall. And those who are in Krishna consciousness, who are situated in self-realization, they don't fall. But those who are trying to enjoy this material nature, they're called kshara, fallible. So kshara and akshara, two kinds of living beings. And then the Lord says, Uttama purushastvanya paramatme tudarata. Yo lokatrayamavishya bibhartya vyaya ishara. Oh, there's the fallible living entities, the infallible living entities. And above them, there's another living entity, Purusha Anya, still higher. Mayavadi philosophers think that all the living beings are on the same level. But here, beyond the fallible and infallible living beings, is the transcendental Paramatma, the Supreme Lord Himself. Uttama Purusha, the Supreme Transcendental Person, Paramam Purusham Divyam. Yo Lokatrayam Avishya Bibhartya Vyaya Ishara, who's entered the three worlds and is maintaining the three worlds. Yasmat ksharamati aksharad pichotamaha atosmi loke vedecha pratita purushottama. The Lord says, Yasmat ksharam atitoham aksharad apichotama. I'm transcendental to the fallible living entities, and I'm beyond even the infallible living entities. Atosmi loke vedecha pratita. Therefore, I'm celebrated Atosmi, therefore, in the world and in the Vedic knowledge, I'm celebrated as Purushotta, uh, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purusha Uttama. Uttama means transcendental. Uttama. So Purusha Uttama, the Supreme Transcendental Personality of Godhead. There's a place in Krishna book, Krishna was fighting with one demon, Jarasandha, I think it was. And Jarasandha criticized Krishna as being the lowest among men. Purushadhama, lowest among Adham, the lowest among all the men. Purushadhama. Insulting Krishna. But the acharyas have taken it as a comment influenced by Saraswati. And they've analyzed that Purusha Adhama means the person who makes all others go down. By comparison to Purushottama, the personality of Godhead, everyone else is lower. That's also stated in the 11th chapter. What is that? The Tvat Samastyo Pyarika Kutonya. I think that's what it is. The Tvat Samastyo Pyarika Kutonya. Yeah. No one is equal to you, and what to speak of being higher than you. That's called asamurdva, asama urdva. No one's equal to Krishna, and no one's greater than Krishna. So Krishna's Purushottam because he's beyond the fallible living entities, the infallible living entities. No one is equal to him. No one is greater than him. Tatasya karyam karnam chavidyate, that verse. So then finally, yomam evam asamudho janati purushottamam sa sarvavid bhajati imam sarva bhavena bharata. Those who are asamudha, not bewildered, clear-minded, Krishna conscious, asamudha, the opposite of mudha, asamudha. Yomam evam asamudha, those who are not bewildered and who know, janati, that I'm Purushottam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sarvavit, such persons know everything. Sarvavit, if one knows, what is it? Yasmin vigyate sarvameva vigyato bhavati. If one knows Krishna, one knows everything. So, because Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Krishna is everything. Krishna includes everything. So if one knows Krishna, he knows everything. So Sarvavid, Bhajati Imam. And because he knows everything, Bhajati Imam, he engages in devotional service. This knowledge is not meant to be just theoretical. Just like if your house were burning, theoretical knowledge, yes, it appears that the temperature has increased. It will not help me. There has to be practical knowledge. I've got to get out. Go this way, go that way. So knowledge is not meant to just be a standalone, where one cultivates knowledge, but with no purpose, no direction in life except to discover more information. But this information is meant to be dynamic. It's meant to be put in place, meant to be given practical shape. What is that practical shape? Bhajati Mam. To engage in the transcendental service of Krishna. And how should one do that? Sarvabhavena. Sarvabhava means sarvabhavena. At least two things. One is sarvabhavena, in all respects. I think that's how Prabhupada gives it. Yes. Sarvabhavena, in all respects. One should engage in devotional service to Krishna. And another meaning of sarvabhava means with all love for Krishna. Bhav means ecstatic, loving ecstasy. One who actually, what is the use of knowing that Krishna is Purushottam? The use is that one comes to appreciate more and more Krishna's presence, Krishna's form, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's everything connected to Krishna. So sarvavid bhajati man, sarvabhavena bhajata. One who knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead engages in my service with love. With love. Iti guhyatamam shastram idam muktam mayanaga. Evam budva buddhiman syat kritakrityascha bharata. So this is the most confidential secret in Vedic scriptures. Guhyatamam shastram. Guhyatamam, most secret. And idamuktam, maya, it's spoken by me for your benefit. You're a sinless person. Anagha. So I'm speaking this science of devotional service to you. Bhaktosi me sakacheti. Rahasyam yetadutama. So if one understands this knowledge, etad bhutva, buddhiman syat, then he becomes a true knower of things. Buddhiman. And kritakrityas. The kritakritya means perfect in his endeavors. Elsewhere we read in Bhagavad Gita, Mogha sha moga karmano moga jnana vichetasa rakshasim asurim chaiva prakritim mohinim shrita. The demons take shelter of the material energy, and therefore they're always bewildered. Their plans are bewildered, their hopes are bewildered. All their good work is just subject to bewilderment. But if one knows Krishna and one serves Krishna, then one achieves all perfections. Krishna bhakti korlo sarva karma katavai. We don't need to do anything else but serve Krishna. All right, maybe I'll stop here and see what kind of questions there are. Nice to see our CNJ gang here. CNJ devotees.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I have a question.
Yes.
You mentioned the demons are always taking shelter of the illusory and energy.
Yes.
So does that mean automatically that anyone who takes shelter of material energy is considered a demon?
Did I say demon? Yes. No. The demons particularly, that's all they do is take shelter, but the ordinary fools also take shelter of the material energy. Practically the whole world is taking shelter of the material energy. Therefore, everyone is bewildered.
So you wouldn't consider those who are just even ignorance or the normal
No,
everyday?
not necessarily demons. They're just fools. fool and demon are a little different. Better
Thank
to be a fool than to be a demon. Unless you're going to get killed by Krishna, then it's good.
Thank you.
Something else? Or you're going to let me off easy?
Prabhuji, why this month is called Purushottam month and not the whole year?
There's a whole history about that. I think Bhakti Purushottam Swami was going to tell about it, but then he was given a different topic and he didn't go into it. But well, in summary, this month is an extra month. You know, we're running on the lunar calendar. And here in the West, we're on the solar calendar, and therefore the months don't mean anything. You know that it's November, September. It doesn't correspond to anything. November 1st, November 2nd, November 3rd. They're just arbitrary days. They don't correspond to anything particular in the sky. Whereas in the lunar calendar, from Anavasya, the dark moon, then you get the first day, second day, third day, Ekadasi, then Dwadasi, Trayodasi, up to Purnima. So the month is exactly linked to the cycle of the phases of the moon. You can always, each day means something. Each day is, what would you say? Corresponds to something in the sky. The days correspond to the phases of the moon. So the solar year has that advantage, but the disadvantage is, and this all gets into the mathematics of astronomy, and the orbits of the planets and so on. The disadvantage is that the lunar calendar gets out of sync with the seasons. The lunar calendar stays in sync with the phases of the moon, but gets out of sync with the seasons. And therefore, every 3 years, if I'm not wrong, there's an extra month inserted to put things back in sync. Just as we have a leap year in the Gregorian calendar, because the days are 65, but that's not exactly, doesn't exactly match the astronomical situation, so you have to add an extra day. So here, you add an extra month, and that's called Adhik Mas, or an additional month. So in that additional month, there are no festivals. Every other month, so many things are there. Radhastami is there, Janmashtami is there, Dasera is there, Ramnami is there. So many different festivals throughout the year. But Purushottam Mas, this Adhik Mas, nothing. Only Ekadashi, because there is an 11th day of the waning and waxing moon. But there are no, well, other months have so many festivals. This month has nothing. No auspicious days on which to have a marriage or initiation ceremony or some auspicious program. Therefore, this month among the materialists is called Malamas, or an impure month. So then it's considered inauspicious. And the history is there in the Puranas, I think Padma Purana, that this month, because everything has a personified presiding deity, just as Bhumi is the deity of the earth. So this extra month has a presiding deity. And she was feeling very distressed. Everybody considers me impure, everybody rejects me. So somehow she went to Lord Vishnu and presented her unhappiness. And this is the situation. So then Krishna, personality of Godhead, declared that no, you'll be henceforward considered most auspicious. And your name will be given as Purushottam, because you're very dear to me. Oh, in that way. And it's said in Shastra, and there are histories that illustrate this, that this Purushottam is the most exalted month. One can get amplified benefits if one performs devotional service in Kartik. But if one performs devotional service in the Purushottam Mas, still greater multiplication of transcendental benefit. So Purushottam Mas. That's a quick summary. Is that all right?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thanks for
Hare-
giving the knowledge and wisdom. Thanks.
Actually, also, all
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
1 second, just I'll add something, one more. All months are opportunities for remembering Krishna. Or, of course, they have their names, Kartik Mas and so on. But our acharyas have given each month a name, Damodar month, and so on. So this month is Purushottam. All the months have a name of Lord Vishnu, personality of Godhead. So this month, extra month, is called Purushottam. Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj Dandot Pranam. Could you please comment upon my understanding, if it's correct or not, regarding the fallible and the infallible nature of the living entities? My understanding, if it's is that even if we are called fallible because we fell down, and even if we go back, we still remain fallible in the spiritual world. Is that the case? But
Well,
at the
that's a
same
different
time, we say
topic.
that we never fall again.
That's a little different topic. The living entity is marginal. So as marginal energy, he always has a fall down potency. That means he has tiny free will, and therefore if he likes, he can fall down. Although Krishna says, Jayaadvita nanivartante. Once one comes back to me, he doesn't come back to this material world. Jayaadvita nanivartante tadhamma panamamma. But because he's marginal, he has that capability. Probably gave the example that the sannyasi physiologically can have sex, but he doesn't. He doesn't, because his mind is fixed on the spiritual platform. So the living entity, even in the spiritual world, has the capability to fall down, but he doesn't use it because he's fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. That apart, here kshara means those who are self-realized, those who are not self-realized, and akshara means those who are self-realized. Is that okay?
Yes, Maharaj. So can we assume that even if we go back to the spiritual world, we are still recognized or categorized as fallible because we, as you said, we
No,
have
that's
that
not
capacity?
according to this. Kshara and akshara means realized and not realized.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
we're
Thank you.
still, yes, okay.
Maharaj,
Thank
I
you.
have a question.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So about the Purushottam month, did anywhere Srila Prabhupada wrote about that or told any devotees to like
Not that I
celebrate it?
recall.
There's nothing, no mention. So what may be the reason he didn't mention it at all?
He didn't, well, Prabhupada gave this example concerning Ekadashi. You know, there are statements that there's a whole, somebody even wrote a book about all the different inducements or all the blessings that you get by following this Ekadasi and that Ekadasi. If you follow this Ekadasi, you'll get this. If you follow that Ekadasi, you get that. So many benefits of following each one of the Ekadasis. But Srila Prabhupada didn't give it much importance from, in terms of those such benedictions. And he gave an example that a store, just like a clothing store or grocery store, any kind of store, they sometimes have a sale, right? You sometimes see a sale, 30% off sale, this sale, that sale. So what is the purpose of that sale? To attract new customers. To attract new customers, that you're not a customer, but you see that there's a sale. So that, so then you think, well, let me go, let me take part, let me buy, let me get a bargain. So yes. But those who are already customers of that store, sale or no sale, they'll go there anyway. They don't wait for a sale, they just go. They don't need to be induced by a sale, they just go. So those who are engaged in devotional service, they don't care that, this benediction, that benediction, they're going to serve anyway. Benediction or no benediction. So in this way, Prabhupada didn't give much importance to the matter. Yes.
So should we give that kind of importance to this month, or we should have more importance for Kartik month? Because they say that it is 1,000 times more, this Purushottam month. You get benefit of anything.
You can take advantage. We should. But this Purushottam month is an opportunity. Everything is amplified. So let us increase our devotional service in the Purushottam month. And there are statements in Shastra to that effect, that one shouldn't neglect the Purushottam month. Take advantage.
All advised.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Anything else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. My name is Priya, and
I thought
my
your name
question.
was hidden, but that's okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I thought your name was hidden, but that's okay. Your name is Priya.
Oh yeah, that's my son has named it. So my question. There are two questions. Number one, what is the purpose of getting this human life? And number two, and I've heard the answers to this question from different people, but yet I ask again because I don't feel satisfied. Number two, when does this cycle of birth and death end? How does the finale happen? Like, how do we know that this is the finale and this is how I'm on the right path to get to that final birth and death part?
So what is the purpose of human life, and what's the finale?
Yes, how do I end this? How do we end this cycle? Yeah.
The purpose of human life, there's two purposes, the inferior purpose and the superior purpose. The inferior purpose is our foolish insistence, let me enjoy, let me enjoy, let me enjoy. Our own separate program, as if we were independent and we had no higher business. And the superior purpose, the real purpose, is to revive our natural spiritual nature. The human life gives that opportunity. The dogs and cats, they can enjoy their senses, but they can't achieve spiritual realization. So the human life is meant for spiritual realization. That's the real purpose of human life. Atato Brahma Jigyasa is meant for spiritual understanding. And how does one get free from birth and death? Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvatam. Tyakta deham punarjanmanaiti mameti. Sarjana. In the 4th chapter, Krishna says that if one simply understands him, as it's said in this chapter, Yomam evam asam muto janati purushottama. If one knows Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janma karma chame divyam, if one knows that Krishna's so-called birth and his the activities he performs are all divya, transcendental, then when he leaves this body, Chaktvadeham, Punarjanmanaiti, he doesn't accept another body. That means birth and death finished. And Mameti, he goes back to Godhead. He attains the spiritual abode of Krishna. Is that okay?
So basically what you're saying is that you see him and that he's doing everything for me, whatever
You
is
see him?
occurring.
What is that?
So does that mean that whatever is occurring in our lives, he's the doer, and that I see him in everything that happens to me or whoever I meet?
That's nice.
Is that the is that the right path?
Yes, to understand Krishna. He's the Paramatma in everyone's heart. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's everything. So if one understands Krishna to be not an ordinary human being, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of everything, then, and when he leaves this body, he doesn't have to come back. Mameti, one goes back to Krishna. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Well, maybe I'll stop here because I'm going to move on to the next channel. This is what we do these days. We go from channel to channel, program to program. So with your permission, we can end here. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj Dandavat. Hari Bol. Hare
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Hare
See you at the
Krishna.
next channel.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Bye, Dandavat Pranam to you.
Dandavat. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful class, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj. Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much.
Those who are not tuned in, then Maharaj gives class every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on the Tobacco channel, and you can tune in and hear Maharaj's classes on Srimad Bhagavatam. Also on Thursday, is giving class on Vanaprastha Adventure. Those who are seriously looking into enter Vanaprastha Adventure series is going on, and yeah, many.
The links are on my website, jswami.info, and Madhupati may post them also, or even I might post them. Let's see. The Monday, Wednesday, and Friday classes are on the Tuaco channel, which is kind of a famous channel now. I think everyone knows where to find that. The Vanaprastha class is, let's get it for you. It wants to take me there. That's not the right thing. Okay. In the chat box is the Vanaprastha Adventure link, which is from ISKCON Brooklyn. And if you miss it, you can find it on my website, jswami.info. Okay.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Thank you again. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandvat, Hari Bol.
Hare Bol.